indie author, dog walker, hamster holder, and duck minder. In the last video, I was talking about my love of Superman and how he is basically my number 2 favorite superhero. Optimus Prime is number 1. And how I locked in during the 80s on the John Byrne revamp. And how my favorite sources on the small screen and big screen for the Man of Steel became Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Superman played by Dean Cain. And on the big screen, Henry Cavill in Man of Steel. Now, I already mentioned one of the big plot difficulties in that movie, that being how to explain the destruction of Krypton and why all the other Kryptonians didn't just leave, etc., etc. If they're so advanced, why wouldn't they know it was going to explode or evacuate? That being said, these are just basically minor complaints for what I consider overall the best live-action Superman movie that has existed to this date. Directed by Zack Snyder, starring Henry Cavill, written by David S. Goyer. The theme is phenomenal by Hans Zimmer. The scale definitely weighs more heavily on quality. That being said, the movie got a lot of flack for, number 1, the amount of destruction. Just buildings falling down everywhere. Obviously, there's people in those buildings dying in every background scene. When I was watching it in theaters, I was well aware of the body count, the climbing body count through every single scene of destruction. People in the background dying left, right, and center, and probably above as well. But that was basically the comics I grew up reading in the 80s and 90s put onto screen. Like, especially in the Superman, the Triangle era, there was always massive amounts of destruction done to the cities in the DC universe. There was always a large body count, and it was recognized in those comics. And whether or not people acknowledge it or not, the Henry Cavill Superman was doing his best to try to negate as much destruction as possible. But when there's someone on par with you, Zod, who has absolutely no care or consideration for his surroundings, well, that becomes a problem. I guess the only way people were expecting acknowledgement was for Superman to stop mid-battle and go, "Oh, woe is me, there are so many people dying." There was no time for that to happen, and you can see in several scenes where he is looking around while Zod is doing his thing, because he can see and hear the people dying, and he's trying to stop Zod. That brings on something else where I think the movie could have been stronger as far as a story and script goes, and that is what to do about Zod. Everyone got upset because Superman snapped his neck at the end. Personally, I think it should have happened a lot sooner. I have no problem with Superman killing, as long as he has the reaction that he had. He was very upset that he had to kill Zod. What are you going to do with him? There's no prison. They weren't aware of kryptonite at the time. Anyway, that aside, I think what I said in the last video ties in perfectly where every Kryptonian in the comics, and who this Superman is based on, the revamped 1986 version, where Clark is the main personality and Superman is the disguise, every Kryptonian was genetically linked to the planet Krypton, and the longer they're away from it, the more mentally unstable and physically ill they become. The change I would have made, the Kryptonians that survived through the Phantom Zone were so desperate to create another Krypton for that very reason. Otherwise, they had to stay in environmental suits or had to keep on going into the Phantom Zone to survive. Zod gets locked out of that due to the world engine being destroyed, and all of a sudden, he's gaining Kryptonian powers on Earth while slowly going completely insane. So the battle and the climax can happen pretty much as it did before, except it's obvious that Zod must be killed. There's no other option. Plot points, script points that I have issues with. Otherwise, I find it the best live-action Superman movie ever made. I mean, other movies, the first 2 Christopher Reeve movies, they have some good points. Superman Returns, with that one, the less said, the better, I suppose. The score was good. John Ottman, I have nothing bad to say about him. A lot of missed potential with Brandon Routh, but he found other work, just like Henry Cavill's finding lots of other work. I really, really wish that the studio hadn't rushed Zack Snyder into creating an expanded DC universe, because he had plans for an overall, like, 5 picture or what have you Superman story arc, and there was never a direct Man of Steel sequel. Something else I noticed when I was watching the movie was during the last battle, Zod had on the battle armor, and he kept on shedding pieces of it as he absorbed more solar energy. And I thought in the theater at the time when I saw this, Lex Luthor's going to pick that up, give it a green and a purple paint job, add some kryptonite to it, and boom, we have the Lex Luthor battle armor for the next movie. Sadly, that never happened. But hey, if they want to include that, that'd be awesome in a future movie. I'd love it. Sadly, that never happened. They rushed into a Batman v Superman movie, and my feelings are definitely mixed on that. Yeah, these problems they had with making these movies. One of the reasons I like being a indie author and writing my own novels is because the story is going exactly where I want it. I can map out the plot details. I can take as much time as I want for revisions. Right now, the third book that I'm working on is taking a lot longer than expected, but I think it'll be worth it when it comes out. So far, I do have 2 other books published. They come out at night, and Larry's Cabin. Available as paperbacks on Amazon and as ebooks wherever ebooks are sold. Check them out. Thank you.